One thing that I have a quiet love of in my own life is seeing people who are experts in whatever field they're in be calm, cool, and collected in a tragic environment when things are chaotic. It's a really niche thing to love, but I just love seeing people be experts in whatever they're doing and do it really well. One of the best examples that I have of this is my brother. We were playing a football tournament last year when someone had a head-to-head collision with another player, and this happened right next to my brother. Now, one of the two guys was okay, but the other guy who hit his head went down immediately, and he got knocked out. But even scarier than that, he actually started to seize, which was really, really terrifying. And I remember it so clearly. As soon as this kid hit the turf, my brother, who also works in the medical field, he's not just some random guy, he works in the medical field, rushed to the ground immediately. He flipped him to his side, checked his vitals, make sure his tongue wasn't choking him. It's all the basic stuff that you have to do when someone's seizing. And everyone in the crowd around him was kind of just freaking out. And he gave orders to about 5 people for what they needed to do immediately. And everyone did it without pause or without delay. I remember standing there and just kind of watching and really admiring my brother for those few minutes. I admire him all the time, but I think those were he was just in his element, doing something to help another person. And he was calm, cool, and collected very quickly. And there were a lot of other people freaking out, but he wasn't. And this guy wasn't waking up, and my brother was just calm and relaxed, doing what needed to be done to make sure this guy was all right. There is just something so cool to me about a person who, in the midst of chaos, is just a pillar to lean on. And I think Prince Imrahil, weird transition, but I think Prince Imrahil in the Battle of the Pelennor Fields of Lord of the Rings is that. I know you guys all know me and I say every side character is my favorite, but I really love Imrahil. He might not be my absolute favorite, but from the little that I know of him personally, I think there's some really great side characters in the story. I like Hama. I think Gonbury Gon is one of my favorite, but Imrahil is just getting thrown up there. He's really nonchalant and low-key in this entire text, and he's not like this person who's gaudy and who needs a lot of praise on himself, which is one of the reasons why I love him so much. But I think it's just something I find so cool is that he's serene. And again, it's this serenity in the midst of a war that they are fighting. They're in the middle of an actual battle. And there's this moment in the books that happens with Éowyn that I think is just the coolest because so it's the moment where they're taking the body of Éowyn and Théoden back to Minas Tirith because everyone kind of believes that both of them are dead. Éomer himself, and I love Éomer, believes that his sister Éowyn is dead. And then he proclaims the death chant and kind of rouses all the warriors up to fight. And I'll talk about Éomer soon. I'm still writing an essay about him because this is really his chapter, I think. It's Théoden's too, but I think this is really Éowyn's chapter. But Éomer has a really great chapter. And for everything that he goes through and what he does, it's really beautiful. But as they're bringing the bodies of Théoden and Éowyn back, the book says this. Now slowly and sadly Merry walked beside the bearers, and he gave no more heed to the battle. He was weary and full of pain, and his limbs trembled as with a chill. A great rain came out of the sea, and it seemed that all things wept for Théoden and Éowyn, quenching the fires in the city with grey tears. It was through a mist that presently he saw the van of the men of Gondor approaching. Imrahil, Prince of Dol Amroth, rode up and drew rein before them. What burden do you bear, men of Rohan? He cried. Théoden king, they answered. He is dead. But Éomer king now rides in the battle, he with the white crest in the wind. Then the prince went from his horse and knelt by the bier in honor of the king and his great onset. And he wept. And rising, he looked then on Éowyn and was amazed. Surely here is a woman? He said. Have even the women of the Rohirrim come to war in our need? Nay, one only, they answered. The lady Éowyn is she, sister of Éomer, and we knew naught of her riding until this hour, and greatly we rue it. Then the prince, seeing her beauty, though her face was pale and cold, touched her hand as he bent to look more closely on her. Men of Rohan, he cried, are there no leeches among you? She is hurt, to the death maybe, but I deem that she yet lives. And he held the bright burnished vambrace that was upon his arm before her cold lips. And behold, a little mist was laid on it, hardly to be seen. Haste is now needed, he said, and he sent one riding back swiftly to the city to bring aid. But he, bowing low to the fallen, bade them farewell, and mounting rode away into battle. I just think this is so admirable of him, especially because he mourns Théoden and then realizes that Éowyn is alive. I'm not going to say that this is actually a mass hysteria, because this is kind of like a bit of a hysteria, but it's war. But everyone is doing what they think they must do. Everyone is kind of mourning on the battlefield this woman who was slain and who was loved. Imrahil just kind of walks up to her and realizes that she's still alive. He's one of those people who just kind of cuts through the cliche of how people think they should act, and, you know, just kind of goes and does what he needs to do and what he thinks he needs to do. He reminds me a little bit of a Luna Lovegood type character from Harry Potter, but maybe a bit more battle-hardened. In that Luna just kind of had this way of looking through situations and helping out in atypical ways that are actually the real way that people need to get helped. It's like one of the most like beautiful little, like, there's not a lot of people like this, but I feel like Prince Imrahil of Dol Amroth just seems to know exactly what to do in any case here. I kind of love the simplicity of his taking his vambrace and showing that she was still breathing. It's a small gesture, but it's such a brilliant one. And I just wanted to show my appreciation for someone who just knows how to stay calm, cool, and collected in pressure, just like Prince Imrahil. I don't think there are actually very many people like him in this book. And I find him so admirable because of it. I think that he has this like aura about him for what the best of the men in Tolkien's writing can actually be. But I think we actually rarely see him on the page. He's one of those characters, I think, in the book that, you know, the entire book could be written about him because he just seems that cool. But as far as I know, there isn't a book written about him. He's noble without a lot of arrogance. He's wise without being really weary like a Denethor. And he's also brave without this like rash bravado. He saves lives, he commands loyalty. And yet one thing that I love is he doesn't really ask for glory. He just does what he knows he needs to do because he knows it's the right thing to do it. He's one of those rare figures who I think reminds you that heroism isn't really all about center stage. Sometimes it's kind of just about the quiet and the steady strength of someone who is just doing the right thing when everything is falling apart, like in this battle. And I just find that so admirable. I think he's great. So let me know what you think of Imrahil and his Swan Knights. The Swan Knights are so cool. But make sure you subscribe if you made it this far, like the video, become a member, and donate if you want as well. And as always, remember to look toward Numenor that was, and beyond to Elvenhome that is, and to that which is beyond Elvenhome and will ever be. I'll see you in the next one.